My name's Evan Leibovitch. I'm the president of the Internet Society Canada chapter. I have with me Sam Lanfranco, who has a long history of involvement with Internet governance issues in health, in international development, and elsewhere. Can you give us a little bit more of your background?
Okay, I'm a development economist who was working with UNCTAD in Geneva in the 1970s with the technology division, and we first got interested in digital technology and the electronic spaces that were being created. This was before the internet was rolled out, before the World Wide Web, before social media, before everything. So we started worrying about what this meant for organizational structures and social processes in all areas. Some areas are universal like health, some are more specialized like technology, but we've been stirring that pot and dealing with those issues now for a third of a century.
And so you've been involved with bringing those things together, health technology.
Health technology and my own field, ICT for development, information and communication technology for development.
Right.
So the two, there's a lot of commonality in the issues and the problems and the challenges.
Okay. So, in the context of the work that you've done so far with health and technology, you've obviously had an ear for privacy and security issues for quite some time. Given what you've encountered, and especially given what people have been hearing recently out in the media, what would you say are the biggest concerns facing Canadians regarding their security, their privacy? Is there at all a way to put the genie back into the bottle in terms of how exposed everybody is?
Everybody is exposed, very highly exposed. And the recent revelations about the NSA in the US are only a little piece of that bigger pie. What's happening, and now especially with the impending Internet of Things, where objects in your car and your phone will have multiple IP addresses and is that individuals are building a whole data sphere of information around themselves that's in this digital space, and it's being mined by commercial sources, by private sources, by government sources, and most people don't understand that. In the area of health, people are very concerned about the privacy of their electronic medical record. But what they don't understand at the moment is of those 2,000 or so health apps that you can download onto your phone or onto your computer, that those are collecting personal health data. And in most cases, in order to download the app, you have given permission for that data to be mined by others. And most people aren't even aware of that. Their electronic medical record is a little slice of their personal health record.
But is that being done in the aggregate, or is that actually being done for the individual person who has the app?
It's being done at both levels. We have cases just recently of people being denied travel insurance because the insurance company didn't like what their cardio monitoring wristband was uploading to the cloud. They were uploading their data every day at the end of the day to their computer to see how their health was going and how their exercise was going. And they didn't realize that they had given permission to the app supplier to provide that information to the travel insurance company.
So they acquired the device for something totally unrelated?
For their health and for their exercise.
And it was used against them by an insurance company?
Yeah. We're probably less than 5 years away from somebody flying somewhere and going to pick up a rental car and being denied the rental car because the rental company does not like the information that it got from their own private car.
So what's the way for people to deal with that right now? Should they try and withhold that information or just control it better?
Well, controlling it will involve selectively withholding it, but the first step now is for people to increasingly understand what kind of stakeholder they are in this electronic space. What are the issues that impinge on them that they should be thinking about? That they have psychological beliefs, religious beliefs, they have those worlds they live in. They live in this electronic world as well. It's just as real as psychological states and religious institutions and beliefs. And so we're at the beginning of a major learning process.
Okay. So the Internet Society is going to be getting involved in education programs and political advocacy and that kind of thing. what are the directions you would suggest that we look at in terms of regulation, in terms of public policy advocacy? What should we be looking at that is both realistic and a win for the general public?
Okay, the first thing is that we're in the middle of a major period of technological transformation. If you had talked about social media 5 years ago, most people would not have known what you were talking about. We don't know what's coming down the road 5 years from now in terms of how this space is put together and what kind of processes are taking place in which me as an individual or my neighborhood or my family or my community are involved in. So we need one of those learning and awareness raising dialogues, because there's no playbook you can go to and say these are the rules and regulations that should be in place. It's like like Columbus discovering America with no people there. We have to work out zoning, land use, transportation, communications, municipal government, representative government, whatever. All that's what's coming over the horizon. And 2014 is liable to be an extremely significant year for that because of the up to 1,500 new global top-level domain names like .kids, .porn, .donuts, right. .health, very contentious issue, that are going to come over the horizon, and people are going to say, what's this about? And they're going to have to figure out at their level, not at somebody else's level, what is it about, what does it mean for me? You know, my electronic medical records are safe. My personal medical records are being mined by everybody.
So is this going to be an issue of trust, where if somebody is going under, say, a .health domain, is there an assumption that whatever is under there is more trustworthy, even though there may not even be any extra regulations over .dogs?
That's one of the worries, and there are that same concern is being expressed by the Jewish community worried about .kosher and the Muslim community worrying about .halal.
Right.
They're not worried about the religious dimensions of those. They're worried about trust, accountability, transparency, and those are the things. If you want trust to be sustained, you have to have the accountability, the transparency, and you have to have some involvement and engagement in the policy processes.
So, how can the public interest be asserted in the development of this? For instance, you said .health. The World Health Organization is one of the organizations that's trying to have an influence in how .health is being used with varying levels of success. Is that the proper organization to be stewarding this, or is there a whole new regime that perhaps needs to come into play? Okay,
the short answer is that the WHO is not enough. It's one player in the health area. There are thousands and thousands of other players in the health area at all kinds of levels. And the issue has to be addressed at a variety of levels. The WHO talks about sort of global regimes, and it develops programs for dealing with malaria here and dengue there and so forth. But at the same time, there are sort of midwives in Kenya, there are community health workers in Bangladesh. What's their stake in this, in .health? What kind of procedures and regulations should be put together, and where, and by whom? And they can't be carved in stone, because there'll be new apps and new technologies and so forth coming out down the road that have benefits and unintended consequences. So there needs to be a continuous, again, consciousness raising, awareness raising within the health community. The community health community, the global health community. But what's going on here? There are around 2,000 health apps out there at the moment. Most of them, when you hit the little I accept, you are supplying the provider of that health app with phenomenal amounts of information. Even where you are 24 hours a day, or at least where your equipment is 24 hours a day. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean in this data sphere around you? Who has access to it? What are they using it for? What are the regulations? Who should enforce them? It's like we've been invaded by, or we've gone to a whole new planet.
So do you see, for instance, a future for a new generation of apps that says, we'll provide you with something you need, but we won't be quite as invasive. As an example, say the DuckDuckGo search engine. It says, we will do your searches, but we are not going to store your search history the way, say, Google or other engines are.
Yes, and this is going to come from two sources. It's going to come from the competitive forces in the market with a more aware group of consumers, of users who say, I want parts of this, but I don't want the whole package. And it's going to come from some higher levels of regulation, but I don't like the term regulation there. It may mean that what we need is something more like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There are people talking about a Universal Declaration of Digital Rights, which becomes a banner on the wall that gets signed up, countries sign up for it, organizations, whatever, but it doesn't have enforceable properties. The various things that it says should be enforced then get distributed across a whole lot of organizations. Maybe they're national, maybe they're international, maybe they're local, maybe in Canada, maybe they're provincial, maybe they're just the neighborhood.
Are the EU privacy rules, is that an example of that? Or is...
They're one model and they're one way station on the road. We've never had a revolution of any sort, technological or otherwise, that rolled out as fast as the internet. So a lot of what we put in place now is good for the time being, but on reflection it'll have things that need to be changed, and new issues will come up, or new contexts will come up. Some of the issues, like my personal privacy and what others know about me and how it impinges on the life that I live, that's always there, always there. Okay, it goes back to the Inquisition, the Christian Inquisition in the 1500s. Always it was there, chasing out the Moors, and so forth. It's always there, but the context in which it comes up changes. We have a context is changing now because the technology is making new opportunities there possible. New opportunities for organizational structures, for social processes. Some of these are being pursued for lofty reasons, some are being pursued for commercial reasons that may not be a win-win for all sides. But what's clear is that in this fog, in this soup, there are a whole lot of issues that need to be thought through. And it's not one where a group of experts is going to think it through. Some of the technological solutions, experts. But some of these social process issues, individual right, collective right, obligations, what are the obligations of the app provider, and so forth. These have to be part of a growing, ongoing dialogue.